Hi. Today I'm going to speak about Hazael of Aram Damascus' conquest of Philistine Gath. An excellent example of the interactions between Aram and the land of Israel during the biblical period, and in fact one of the reasons that I, co-director of the Rehab Center, became interested in research relating to Aram, is the evidence for the siege and conquest of the Philistine city of Gath by Hazael, the king of Aram Damascus. In 2 Kings 12:18, there is a brief allusion to Hazael's siege and conquest of the city of Gath during the reign of King Joash of Judah in the late 9th century BCE. Unfortunately, very little additional information is provided. Similarly, in Amos 6:2, which we date to the mid-8th century BCE, there is an allusion to the destroyed city of Gath. Soon after I started the archaeological project at es-Safi Gath in 1996, evidence began to surface for archaeological correlates of this event, the siege and the conquest at the site. At first, using aerial photography, we noticed a large feature that surrounded the tell from the eastern, southern, and western side. And you can hear the eastern, southern, and western side in the aerial photography and in the plan. Once we conducted a field survey of this feature, it was apparent that this was some sort of man-made feature, perhaps a trench, and the suggestion was raised that it might be a siege system. At first, before the excavations, we thought that this might be connected to an Assyrian siege of the site, as the Assyrian army was well known for its siege tactics and abilities. When the actual excavation commenced at the site, we started finding again and again compelling archaeological evidence of an impressive destruction layer. Time and again, we excavated houses and other features which had been burnt down and destroyed, and within these buildings we found rich assemblages of well-preserved finds, including hundreds upon hundreds of complete or restorable ceramic vessels of many types. In fact, over the last quarter of a century, in just about all areas that we excavated on the site, both in the upper and the lower city, evidence of this massive destruction was uncovered. This destruction was dated both on the basis of the pottery typology, that is, comparing to pottery known from other well-dated sites, and through carbon-14 dating to the second half of the 9th century BCE. And importantly, this dating fits very well with the suggested historical dating of the conquest of Gath by Hazael, which, based on various criteria, we now date to circa 830 BCE. Subsequently, we also excavated sections of the siege system. In these excavations, we found remains of a trench that was dug out in the bedrock, and the materials from the trench were always poured out on the side away from the city. This formed a berm that went along the trench. In addition, in several locations along this berm, on the eastern, southern, and western sides of the site, we located simply constructed stone structures which we identified as towers belonging to the siege system. And here you can see one of the towers. The effort to build the system must have been extensive and very effortful, and we assessed that about 60,000 cubic meters of soil and rock were moved. Add to this the towers, and most probably a makeshift wall connecting between the towers, which you can see here, the reconstruction of the makeshift wall, along with all the complex logistic envelope connected to this, such as providing defense, food, fixing tools, and coordinating actions, indicates that only a large and very well-organized force could have carried out this operation. Since both the destruction layer at the site and the siege system were dated prior to the mid-8th century BCE, before 750, the period when the Assyrians became active in the region, the siege and destruction had to be connected to some other historical event. It couldn't be the Assyrians. Since we don't know of any local polity with such capabilities, or of a large foreign army that was active in the region at this time, it is quite reasonable to connect this to the actions of Hazael, king of Aram Damascus, who was the strongest king in the southern Levant during the second half of the 9th century BCE, in part due to the fact that the Assyrians were not active in the region at the time. In addition to this, in the Zakur inscription, an Aramean inscription found in northern Syria in the early 20th century CE, at the site of Tel Afis, a local Aramean king by the name of Zakur tells us how the city of Hadrach was besieged by Bir-Hadad, king of Aram Damascus, the son of Hazael, in what appears to be a similar siege method. So, perhaps at Gath, on the ground, and at Hadrach Tel Afis in the inscription, we have evidence of the Aramean method of siege. Most recently, in the 2021 season of excavations at es-Safi Gath, right next to a gate that was found in the lower city, we found a section of the city wall that was missing. And you can see it right over here. Here's the gate, and here's the section of the city wall that's missing. Perhaps this is evidence of a point at which the walls of Gath were breached by the Arameans. We assume that through this breach, the Arameans entered the city and commenced destroying and burning it all down, as we have tangibly found in the excavations. Can we say that we are absolutely 100% sure that this is, in fact, the siege and destruction of Gath by Hazael? Since we have not found an inscription at the site by Hazael or his army telling us that, we can't say this without any doubt. But since no better suggestions have been brought forward that fit all the relevant data, both the biblical and the archaeological, I firmly believe that our interpretation is the best and most probably reflects what in fact happened at the site at Gath, the largest kingdom in the land of Israel, during the Iron IIA, the 9th century BCE, when it was captured and destroyed by Hazael, the neighborhood bully of the time. Most likely, Hazael did this since he realized that if he wanted to control the region from a geopolitical and economic point of view, he had to control the kingdom of Gath. In fact, following this destruction, Gath permanently lost its status as a strong kingdom, and instead, other polities in the region, such as Philistine Ashkelon and Philistine Ekron and the kingdom of Judah, were able to take its place. Following his conquest of Gath, Hazael heads to Jerusalem, and according to 2 Kings 18, Joash of Judah submits to him and gives him the temple treasures. We also know from other biblical and ancient sources that Hazael was an important figure at the time, and in recent decades, partly due to the finds of the destruction at Gath, other destruction levels at other sites in the land have been connected to Hazael, such as at Rehov, Chatzor, Afek, and Tel Zayit. So to summarize, this event, evidenced in the Bible and in the archaeological remains, provides an excellent example of the interactions between the Arameans from the north and the people of the land of Israel, including the Philistines and the Judites in the south during the biblical period. Due to the fact that this event had a dramatic effect on the geopolitical situation in the Iron Age IIA Southern Levant, this is an excellent case study for the topics covered in the REAP Center's research. Thank you very much.